Hello, my viewers. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about what I have learned in my Christian walk with God. So, first thing is first, I've learned that Christianity is not a religion, but it's a relationship with God. So, this thing has taught me a lot, that it's not a religion, but it's a relationship with God the Father Himself. So it's like the moment Jesus Christ died on the cross, it means that there is an adoption, but only an adoption. Adoption happens with papers that the adoptive parents have to sign a paper and that they have adopted you, like a legal procedure, like a legal procedure. So it's like they have to sign papers, but for us, God has had to like even change our DNA. He had to change us. He had to give us his own blood. That's why we can see like there is a blood covenant, that he has to die, he has to shed his blood, he has to give us his blood to be his sons, so to be his daughters. So what I've learned is that God can take us in situations where we never knew that we have to go through it, for us to realize that it's not about a religion, but it's about him and us. It's about you and him. Because when you make it about you and him, you even eventually start to know like how to treat others too. You know how to behave around others too, because you have received the best love, that steadfast love that comes from God. So why am I saying that Christianity is not a religion, but a relationship with God? I've seen this with myself and I've experienced it because I lost my father at a younger age when I was 12. And that time around, I was like, yes, I grew up in a Christian family, but I didn't know who God was, and I had no idea, like, okay, how to reach out to Him. Because the only thing, I went to church because my mom told us go to church, because someone was telling us to do this and do this. That's why I was a little interested in being a Christian. So it took me a lot to understand that it was a relationship, not just like you just woke up, you need to go to church on Sundays and everything. So I lost my dad at the age of 12, but before I lost him that day in the hospital, it was like we fasted, all of us. I also joined the fasting because I couldn't bear losing my dad. Imagine that. I was 12 and I was so close to him. I was like, okay, I will fast. I don't want to lose my dad. So I fasted. I was like, this time around, I fasted. Imagine at the age of 12, I was like, oh my God, God has to answer this prayer request for me and everything. But by the end of the day, I screwed up in the middle of the fasting. I ate something, so I was just a kid. So yeah, so that night we were happy because he was no longer in the ICU. His condition was no longer worse anymore. So it's like we went home, we were happy, we were celebrating because soon he would be discharged. But little we didn't know that that day would be the end of his life. So it's like we waited. And that time when we were together as a family praying and thanking God for what He had done for us, it was like we were reading the scriptures about Jairus' daughter, the one who was resurrected by Jesus Christ, and also about Lazarus. He spent 4 days in the grave, but Jesus Christ resurrected him. So that time I had so many questions, because it was a shock to me that he was well. He was out of the ICU care, but why did he had to go like that? And it broke my heart into pieces, that I even felt like God was no longer there, and I was like, I think God doesn't even exist. We just do this just to do whatever. So it totally broke my heart. I was so angry with God that even like when it comes to Christian gatherings at school, because in my junior year we were having Christian community conferences. They will call kids from different schools, and they will call them and teach them about Jesus Christ and the walk that they are supposed to walk as a Christian. So there were like different type of programs. So my friends invited me there, but I was going there for the food, because back then me and my family, we had a lot of difficulties, like so many things. So yeah, I had to go there. And the whole thing was that we went there and the preacher was speaking about Jesus Christ being the lawyer and God being the judge and the devil being the accuser. But back then, since I was just a kid and everything, I didn't know like what it means like to sin. So it was like I was even addicted to pornography at the age of 12. Imagine that. I used to do things which adults only do, like because I had a friend who had been abused, so she was also like partly teaching us to do such things. And I remember this other time even my sisters found us doing sorts of stuff like evil things, at a younger age. So they were like, no, we don't want to see you again with this friend and this friend. So it was quite hard, because I grew up knowing like my mind was already, I should say, perverted or like corrupted, with so many things. So there, when I heard the message about God being the judge and Jesus Christ being the lawyer for you, even when you know that you are not innocent at all, that you have done a lot of bad things, but He's going to still stand with you, that no matter what, He's going to say that this one is my daughter, this one belongs to me. So it was like he was saying that the devil comes to you like, okay, just watch this, okay, just watch this porn. But by the end of the day, in front of God, in front of the judge, he'll be the accuser, will be the one saying, no, I didn't tell you to do that, it was yourself, it was your mind, you did it yourself. So that time, like, it broke me into pieces, the fact that it was Jesus Christ, by just showing his blood, he said that this person is innocent, even though I myself know I wasn't innocent, I was deserving of the punishment which I was supposed to receive. But he said, no, this person doesn't deserve this, because look at my hands, look at my wounds, look at the cross. So it's like it changed the perspective in the way I see God. But still I had the questions like, okay God, but why didn't you listen to me? I was just a child, I fasted, and that time I was also blaming myself, because I said I screwed up when doing the fasting, I ate something. So after receiving Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in that conference, I felt like, oh, I think God was punishing me because I didn't do the fasting well. That's why maybe even my father had to die. But God was not saying that. That's why we had to understand. Even though I had received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I couldn't get the thing to understand that it's not about a religion, but it's about a relationship with Him. So I got to understand this story, like when a child falls down, when a child is learning how to walk, the father picks the child up and says, sorry child, you can walk again. He will dust the feet off, he will dust, he will dust the dust off from the child, and he will encourage the child to walk again. So for me, like, I saw it like with God, because I knew like, okay, I messed up, yes, but God is my father. What he has to do, I am learning to walk. So he has to pick me up once I fall down. I don't have to hide away from him, because no father can see when a child falls down and goes and beat the child up. Why can't you walk properly? He knows that the child is a child and is learning how to walk. The father can never do that. The father will pick you up and he will comfort you and tell you like, okay, it's okay son, it's okay daughter, you are learning to walk, keep doing it until you start walking by yourself, walking and not even like stumble or fall. So I've learned this, that Christianity is not a religion, because if it's a religion, then God, if the moment we fall, God is supposed to strike us and we're supposed to die instantly. But God is the Father. That's why I'm saying He's the Father. He's going to pick you up. He's going to comfort you. He's going to dust off all that dust that you had the moment you fall down. So it's not about like, okay, God is going to do this. He's going to punish me if I do this. He's going to do this and this and this. Yes, He's going to do that, but punishment is not like when a father, the way I understand punishment, when a father punishes you, it's like he's doing it for your own good. He's disciplining you. So that's what a father does. But I don't want you to walk in your Christianity life thinking like being scared, like, okay, I know we need to have a healthy fear of God, and that is wisdom, a healthy fear of God, whereby like, I'm not supposed to do this. My father doesn't like this. That's a heavy fear, that that your daddy is holy and he doesn't like this and he doesn't like this. But there's some unhealthy fear whereby everything you do, you're just afraid of going to hell. You're not in it for the relationship with God, but you're just afraid of going to hell. And that's a dangerous state to be. So another thing which I've learned in the walk with God is that God's ways are different from ours. Back then, I used to want to go to this college of medicine, but the moment I wasn't picked for that college, I started blaming God. Like, God, why, why don't you want this thing to happen to me? It was like I was still a baby, and I didn't know what God says when He say, "Be still and know that I am God." That your ways are not your ways are not my ways. My ways are different from yours. So for me, I thought that was the end of me. That I wouldn't be anything important or anything like who has value. But I didn't know that later He was keeping me for something, that I will study abroad. That He's going to take me out of the small country, out of the small area I was living, out of the small mentality I had, into broadening me up, into like even reaching to this point, like studying abroad. Right now, I'm not in my country. I'm somewhere. I'm not going to mention it. Anyways, so it's like God had surprised me. He had something great for me. Even though right now I'm struggling, but I can't complain, because once upon a time, this life I am living was my prayer point. I am so grateful, because I am not where I used to be. Because where I grew up, no one can reach this far. Because where I grew up in an area whereby it's oh my God, if you search it up, you will totally understand why sometimes, even when I come in the presence of God, only tears come out, because I don't know what to say. I only want to say thank you, God. Thank you so much. Because even most of my childhood friends, they now they're married, others they have kids, they just in the same cycle. So I am so grateful. I grew up in a rural area, and then my family was shifted in an urban area, but that was a ghetto, a whole ghetto, and no one goes out there like having a normal mindset. It's like you are so like, I don't know what to say. By the end of the day, it's like your whole dreams are crushed in there. You are just there doing ghetto life or anything or sorts of stuff. So yeah, I don't want to go in there, because I don't want to ruin my makeup. I don't want to tear up. Oh no, I'm not tearing up on the camera. I'm not doing that. So it's like God was saying, daughter, I am keeping you for something huge. You are going to study abroad one day. One day, I know this is going to sound silly to others, because others, they just board planes, ta 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 ta, simple as that. But for me, when I was boarding a plane, I was like, God, I can't believe you're doing this for me. And tears were just coming out because I knew where I grew up. I knew like all of these things is just happening, some things which I couldn't have just afford on my own. It's God, definitely, it's God's hands on me. So number three, I've learned about endurance and patience. When God says wait, it takes patience. And sometimes where He's telling you to wait is a place whereby you have to endure. You're in the wilderness. We can see God testing the children of Israel. Like, I'm not saying like, okay, not testing them, but making them, He was making them into something. He was making them like they had to understand that there was an endurance build up for them. God was building an enduring spirit in them, because some people we just like, okay, we're like those plants. I mean, we're like those seeds that fell on the, I should say, on a low-key ground, whereby the seed did not take root, but by the end of the day did not endure much when the sun came. It was burnt by the sun, something which is supposed to help it to germinate, but instead it become bad. The thing about, if you don't have endurance in you, the moment something which is even supposed to be good to build you up, it's like you even die in that process. So God did not want that for the children of Israel when they reached the promised land, because He knew, like, in the promised land, you're going to face this and this and this too. So I have to build you up. I have to build your enduring spirit. So He had to build them up. That's why they had to go through the wilderness. He had to build them up, like, even in terms of patience. He says, those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up their wings like an eagle. They shall run and not get weary. You can see there is patience and there is endurance. They can run and not get weary. So number four, I've learned that do not judge. Even when you're seeing something happening to someone who is also in the walk of faith, who is in the walk of Christianity, who is in the journey with you guys. If you see someone like having struggles, people do judge quickly. You don't know. Okay, it was like even in the story of Job, his friends were pointing fingers at Job, saying that, Job, I think you had sinned. That's why all these things are happening to you. You don't know what God is making out of that person. That's why He's saying God's ways are different from our ways. He's saying to them, the moment God speaks in Job 38, He's saying, who are you to darken counsel without knowledge? Don't you know? It's like they don't know anything. They're like, okay, they just assuming, because since they know like this is what happens to this person, like once the person has sinned, then these things happens to that person. It doesn't work like that with God. God says He's asking them, because we can see there is even someone like Elithaza and the other friends of Job saying different type of things, not knowing that God, heaven is clapping hands for Job, that Job is doing a great work. That God is even pleased with Job, but these people were insulting Job, saying like, okay, Job, I think you have sinned. Instead of comforting him, they were adding salt to his wounds. Imagine that. So it's like there is even a young man coming in the conversation with the elders, all of them, the friends of Job. He's saying, okay, it's not only the elders who have wisdom and stuff and stuff. So he was like even accusing Job too of sinning against God. He's like, okay, and he said a lot of stuff. Just go read the book of Job if you have time, and not if you have time, but as long as you're a Christian, you have to stay in your word. You have to know everything about the Bible. You have to be curious about it. So yeah. So another thing which I've learned in the walk with God is that love. I've learned about love, and what I've learned about love. This other time, this sister asked, like, what is love in your definition? Because people say, like, okay, love is this and this, love is endurance, love is, a lot of people have a lot of definitions there. For me, what I've learned about God's love, okay, not just love in general, but God's love is that God's love is steadfast. That's why even the Bible itself is saying steadfast love of God. They're not just saying, excuse me, they're not just saying love as in love, just like that, but they're saying steadfast love of God. It means there is steadfast, there it's steady, it doesn't move, it's not shaking, even when you have sinned against Him. Because I had to go through a situation whereby it was okay for God Himself to bail out on me, it was okay for Him to forsake me. I was even saying, God, even if right now you give up on me, it's okay. I would understand, because if I were you, I would have given up on me a long time ago. And I was even surprised. I was even asking God, God, why are you still holding me on when what I've done has hurt you the most? I have hurt you. I have sinned against you, not against the people around me. So that's where I saw His love. His love is enduring. His love is steadfast. It endures forever. When He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you, it's true. Even in the moment, even in your darkest moment, He does not say that I have left you. But the moment that you get down on your knees and realize that God's love is always there for you, it's the moment where you even get to understand the word when I say that Christianity is not a religion, but it's a relationship with God. That moment I crashed down. I was crying, because that time I was just addicted, to a lot of things. And I was in my Christian walk, like I compromised in my sexual purity. So it was like I was like even condemning myself, like, God, then I'll just give up on me, because I cannot do this. I've done what is worse in your presence. You can see me like doing all this stuff, and but then I'm coming back to you and I'm praying. What am I doing right now? It's like I'm doing all evil things at the same time, but I'm also coming to you. So just give up on me. It's okay. But God said, no, daughter, I'm not giving up on you, because you are mine and you belong to me. You're never forsaken. You are never forsaken. And that was the time I would have lost me. And He found me in that moment. He found me, because if it's for the world, it's okay. I was like that woman who was supposed to get stoned after the act of adultery, but God stood there for me and He fought for me. All right, thank you. I've spoken too much. Love you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are always confessing the book of Psalms. Right now we are on chapter 81. So it's like we're going to finish up 150 chapters of the book of Psalms. After the book of Psalms, you're going to go for the book of Proverbs, and I am so excited for that too. So love you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please support me. We need to grow. And right now I'm also surprised that we have grown. If you have started watching my videos from the beginning, you can see a bit of improvement, because now I have bought a mic and I've also bought a stand, like to do, like, even I've changed the orientation, the place where I'm doing my videos and stuff. So yeah, stick with me and love ya. Thank you.